Hello there, welcome to day 5 of trying to become a famous author, and today I wanted to yap a little bit about journaling because journaling is something that I've kind of recently started to do. Hasn't really been something that I've ever sort of considered in the past. I think a few times when I was really young I did diary entries for a bit, but that was more just like I'd go to an airplane show, or I would luckily get to join family members on a trip somewhere and I'd want to write about it a little bit and just keep a little bit of a memory of that. So until now I haven't really done any of that in earnest, but for about 3 months now, coming up to 3 months, I have been journaling every day, and some days it's really quick and it's just a short paragraph. Other times I'll be like moaning on about something for a few pages, but I've found it to be a really good exercise, not just to kind of get things out and remember things, but also as a way to practice writing. It is obviously in the first person. It would be a little bit strange to be journaling in the third person about yourself, but it's, even though it is just in the first person, it is a really useful way, I think, of expanding your ability at that. The current project I'm working on isn't in first person, but that I think in a way makes it nicer to every day have a chance to write from a different POV. And so I have a few that I'm filling out so far. Well, this was the first one I filled out, and this I inked over with a little drawing of sort of like the Edinburgh castlescape nearby. So yeah, it's just a little doodle to spice it up a little bit, but I managed to completely fill this thing, which sort of surprised me. And that was only a few months as well. That was just from August to October that it took me to fill that. And during that time I tried to really nail down observations that I had made, using this as just a way to log comparisons and as a way to also develop voice too. I think like trying to find certain phrases and convenient ways of saying things that are both like fresh but also kind of authentic, I think, to my personal voice. So it felt like a double-bladed sword, because I was getting to sort of practice these phrases and trying to find a vernacular or more language that felt suitable to me, while at the same time getting a way to sort of talk about this really fresh place or new place to me, because it's been a long time since I've lived in the UK. I lived in the UK when I was a lot younger, before I started having, I guess, a good strong memories. So I didn't really remember a lot from my past then. So coming back to the UK, or the times that I've visited in the past, it always seems to hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't really know what's going on, and it does come at me like a bit of a culture shock. So it was nice to sort of like stuff those things into a journal. And then more recently I've been filling up this one, which has got this cool illustration on, and a sticker that is ripping off, but it says $13.9. So this was a notebook that I think my grandma originally bought and then must have given to my mom, who gave it to me, which is why it's in dollars. I think these must be New Zealand dollars. So I initially started scribbling in this years and years ago, and I was thinking that I would try to fill up the whole thing with a story, but I ended up only filling the first, say, 20 pages. I'd say I wrote about a chapter of this story that I was trying to put out, and it was nice rediscovering this notebook and reading over that again, because I was in a way sort of surprised, because a lot of the style there reminds me of my style now. It's sort of like, in the meantime, and I guess like probably the 8 or 10 years since I wrote that beginning of a story in this notebook, I have sort of changed a lot about how I write, but in a way kind of circle back. So that was cool to see. And then since then I've just been doing a daily write in this the same way as the other notebook. So slowly and surely I'm probably gonna fill this one up too. But I think that journaling has been especially good for me because I am a person that tends to really overthink things, and if I don't get something onto paper, I think I just let it froth around in my mind too much and just I guess let it ferment into bigger thoughts than they are. So I think putting down everything onto paper, even thoughts that you know aren't thoughts that you'll have tomorrow or feelings that you'll have tomorrow, just putting them on paper, even if sometimes they seem like too strong or beyond what you really feel, just getting them down I think is a good way of getting them out. It's like literally transferring it from yourself to the page. And then, not to say that it's like a cursed book or anything, but now all of those hexes, I guess, are now contained in the material. So yeah, I guess it is a way of locking away or getting rid of bad things, but also a good way of, I think, sort of immortalizing good things that happen. Because now sometimes I'll do the daily entry and flick back and see good things that happened a few days before that I might have otherwise let slip. So it's also made me more aware of the fact that I do tend to let things slip, that good things can happen, and within a few days I can sort of let them become buried or forget about it. So yeah, none of this is, I guess if anyone is watching is already familiar with journaling, I guess none of these things are too new. Like, I'm sure that this is an experience that you've had, but this really came as a surprise to me as someone who thought that they had a decent enough memory for good things. But I think it's been a lot easier to feel sort of grateful for the good things happening around, to have them locked down on paper. And so I'm planning to hopefully keep this up and make this something that I continue doing every day, even on the days that I miss. Like, for example, I missed yesterday probably for the first time in a while, so I did a late entry, and I always feel a little bit like I'm cheating myself with that. But I think if I just consistently do this every day, it will continue to be a really useful exercise for me, not just for making me more aware of good things happening and getting out bad things, but getting more used to just writing and writing every day. Sometimes I will write 2,000 or 3,000 words a day, other days nothing. This is separate to journaling. So then if I'm journaling on top of that, it means on the days that I'm not putting down a lot of writing into the project I'm working on or into schoolwork, I'm still at least doing a little bit of writing. And I think that's another added benefit, that if you're journaling every day, you are at least writing a bit. But it might not be good for everyone. I'm not trying to exactly be sort of a campaigner for journaling here, but I thought I would just put it out as something that has been really useful for me so far, just to stay organized and get better at noticing details. And I think maybe in a future project, when I come back around to using first person POV, which I think could definitely happen in the future, it might help me to have a more clearly defined voice, because I've gotten used to moaning in a journal every day. So I think I have a better sense of ways that I can use phrases to sound a bit more, I guess, authentic, and also finding ways to be a bit more audacious with language and find ways of more interestingly saying, today I went to the supermarket, like talking about what the people were like inside, like the temptations to go through the bakery aisle, like things that I need to use in order to take away the staleness that would otherwise be the case of just saying, I went to the supermarket. So I think it's a pretty great creative writing exercise. And yeah, I'm happy to now have these like two things that are filling up. Hopefully I will fill up a lot more. But if you are considering, or you have journal too, and you have tips, or you can also sort of attest to the value of it, then I would love to hear more about that. So yeah, please let me know, and I will be back tomorrow.